Charles Barkley, who was famous for dribbling a basketball, but obviously is not the most intelligent or informed person in the world. Newsflash, like that's not what Trump is being prosecuted for. Is this going to change the world? No. For me, it's just like news at 11, like gay guys are bitches and the sky is blue. All right, watch out, you black Trump voters. If Charles Barkley sees you wearing a Trump mugshot t-shirt, he's going to punch you right in the face. All right, this can't cancel Rob Smith. Look, let's get into these Charles Barkley comments about black Trump voters. And again, if you are new to the pod, if you are new to Rob Smith, I am neither Republican nor Democrat. I consider myself very much independent at this point. There was a point in time where I was waving the red flag for the Republican Party and for Donald Trump as a black gay man that supported that entire party and that entire movement and all that other stuff. That is a place that I no longer see myself in, but I do understand the mentality behind it. I don't look down on people. People just are what they are. But Charles Barkley is somebody who does look down on these people. So Charles Barkley right now, obviously the legendary, iconic NBA player that now has a very low-rated show called King Charles on CNN with Charles Barkley and Gayle King, because apparently America can't get enough of Gayle King. She needs to be on CNN primetime as well as CBS during the daytime. Before I get into what Charles Barkley said, let me get into these numbers from the show that this came from, first of all. Actually, you know what? No. I'm just going to go ahead and play this clip. And this happened a little bit, about a week and a half ago. But, I was on sabbatical, problematics, but I'm back now. I know you all were dying to get my take on this, so let's get into it. This was some remarks that Trump, in response to some remarks that Trump made at the gala for something called the Black Conservative Federation. Get into this.
You know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. They do shirts.
When you heard that, what did you think? Big sigh.
First of all, I'm just going to say this. If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm going to punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gayle.
You really can't say that because, A, you don't mean that.
Oh, I mean that sincerely. I'm going to just tell you something.
And then you will be arrested for assault. And then what?
I'm going to bail myself out and go celebrate. If I
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. Okay, but go ahead.
Seriously.
Continue.
First of all, if I was at that
conference, yeah.
I'd have got up and walked out. That was an insult to all black people. Because he basically just saying, and first of all, to compare black history where we've been discriminated against to his plight.
Yes.
Well, first of all, he's a billionaire. And they're prosecuting him for stuff he did wrong. They're prosecuting him for stuff he did wrong. And for him to compare...
It's still in the court system, Charles. We have to wait. It's still in the court system. But continue.
Well,
continue.
Some of the stuff is true. They did storm the Capitol. They did say that the election was stolen. Those aren't lies, Gayle.
Yeah.
Those are
They
facts.
did say that. They did say that.
But to compare, I would have got up and walked out because it's not a fair comparison. He's a billionaire. He's had a great life. He's been president of the United States. To insult black people who have been discriminated against all these years, to put them in the same category, I was just offended. I mean,
there's so much going on with this. First of all, I think that as a black man, what I hate the most about the people that have the most prominent voices for black people when it comes to politics and media are people like Charles Barkley, who was famous for dribbling a basketball, but obviously is not the most intelligent or informed person in the world. He's just got this mealy mouth thing going on. They stormed the Capitol. Newsflash, that's not what Trump is being prosecuted for. Anyway, I'm not gonna both sides this, but I'm gonna say this. First of all, when you look at sort of the laughter that's coming from the set, this is the CNN studios. I think they're out of Hudson Yards in New York City. So when you listen to the laughter that's coming from that set, you listen to Gayle King laughing, you listen to all those people laughing. First of all, these are people laughing they're saying that it's okay to enact violence against black people who wear a Trump mugshot t-shirt, or who think in ways that, you know, you're not a fan of, or in ways that you don't believe in. And I would even compare this to sort of the treatment that I got from the quote unquote black community, you know, after what happened to me and things happened to me. You know, you have people like Amanda Seales and D.L. Hughley being like, oh, good, well, this is great, blah, blah, blah. So first of all, the idea that anybody should be a target of violence for anything that they wear politically is not funny. Like, it's not a joke. Like, it's just not cool. That's the first thing. The second thing is that this dude is obviously an idiot. He can barely speak. He can barely form a sentence. And this is what all of those executives, the executives at CNN, who, by the way, very few of which are, of any, are black, this is who they want, you know, having the black male voice, you know, for politics, right? I do believe that the executives at a lot of these networks, and this is not just a CNN thing, I do believe that they prefer their black men to be a little slow. I think that they prefer them to be a little just not too quick on the uptake, right? But anyway, so the idea that you should enact political violence on anybody because their politics don't align with yours is completely ridiculous. But what I will say is this. Let's talk about, and let's extrapolate this here to this whole idea that black people are going to somehow get, like, just start voting for Trump in really big numbers in 2024. And this is because of a mugshot. And this is because black people just, you know, we really identify with the plight. First of all, like, I'm black. Like, I don't identify with criminals. So why would that be an immediate identification for me? Like, I don't understand it, right? It just doesn't make any sense. If I were more easily offended, you know, some people would find that offensive. But I think that what is happening here is this. And I've said this a lot about the RNC, what they do or do not spend money on, like how these people think, whatever. In the absence of doing real voter outreach to black people, in the absence of doing any of this stuff, because the RNC has not done this over the past 4 years, right? Those Blacks for Trump centers have been shut down. They don't have any real people that are involved in outreach to this. Like, they really don't care, and I'll get into why they don't care in a little bit. But in the absence of all of this stuff, what they are going to say, and what a lot of the people are going to go to cable news sets to say, like, I don't take news hits about this topic anymore. I'm just not doing it. God bless. There's a lot of black conservatives right now that are doing that, and God bless, you know, I roll out the red carpet for you. Like, I'm not into that right now just because it's not real, right? Like, the idea that, you know, some black people that identify with being criminalized are going to vote for Donald Trump because he's got a mugshot t-shirt is ridiculous. And by the way, you know, Tyreek and Tyrone, who are going to identify with Trump because of a mugshot, are not exactly the most reliable voting bloc in the world. Okay. So if you're dependent on them to pop up that black vote in 2024, like, you're going to keep on waiting for that. And so, look, that really brings me to the point of Republicans and the black vote and what they really feel about the black vote and whatever. And I've talked to people that, like, I'm still very connected to people that are in that space, and the conversations that are really happening behind the scenes, which I totally agree with, by the way, is that they are saying, look, in 2020, and I was on the campaign trail with Donald Trump in 2020, and, you know, he had the platinum plan, and, you know, I was, you know, running around in news sets, oh, the black vote's going to be this, the black vote's going to be that. It didn't happen. Black people just did not show up in 2020. The numbers did not bear it. Only 12% of blacks voted for Trump in 2020. There is no sort of real infrastructure. There's nothing that would lead me to believe, or nothing that I've seen to think that this is going to change. So it's become sort of like the new hustle on the right. The new hustle on the right is to say that we want blacks to vote Republican, but we're not really going to do anything to kind of like make it happen. And then we're going to say, oh, here's this viral YouTube clip with some people from the hood cheering the Trump motorcade. And oh, here's a mugshot. And oh, some rapper, you know, oh, Waka Flocka, you know, said to Trump. Like, that's not getting people out to the polls. Like, they may be cool with Trump, you know, they may not be afraid to be like, yeah, you know, that's my dude or whatever. But are these people actually going to get out and vote? Like, they're not. It's just not going to happen, right? Because the infrastructure isn't there. And what Republicans are really saying behind the scenes, this is the real tea, this is what really happens, is that what helps Republicans in terms of the black vote is when black people just don't show up. Like, that's really the only thing that's going to help Republicans. So this whole idea that black people are just going to start voting Republican and all of that stuff, like, this is kind of just PR at this point, and this is so that people can say, and like, if you're running one of these black conservative oriented organizations and your job is to go beg these Republicans for money to say that we're going to go turn out the black vote or whatever, I get that that's how you make money, and I'm not judging that, but the results just never seem to happen, right? And so everybody kind of like ignores it. So Trump loses, black people don't show up. They do nothing to really generate the vote, over the next, 4 years or whatever. And then they sort of kind of like run the same thing again. This is the playbook that they ran in 2020. I believe that this is the playbook they're likely going to run, in 2028. This is just like, this is what it is at this point. There are, and this is the honest to God, like, this is my honest to God, this is my truth. There's not my truth, there is the truth. What I have come to the conclusion that I've come to over the past 5 years of like really doing this and really being a face of this, ever since the black conservatives versus black liberal viral Vice debate, through Trump on the campaign trail in 2020 until now, you're never really going to get any substantial amount of the black population to vote for Republicans. And that is just the honest to God truth. And the honest to God truth is that it's never going to happen because, and like, if you listen to some of my stuff, like I've dug deep down into this stuff, but people are not seeing like, and I'm not going to reference too much, the stuff that I dealt with, like what happened to me in Phoenix and all of that stuff. And in the way that just black Republicans are attacked in general. And when you have a low IQ, like Charles Barkley saying that he is going to attack, some black person that he sees with a Trump mugshot t-shirt on, you have to realize that that is what the culture feels about black people who vote Republican. And I don't know that at this point there's anything that's going to change that. I think that, black people and just people in general, they may become more right-leaning or conservative-leaning in their minds, but it's never really going to be this thing where they're just like, oh my God, I'm going to vote for Republican. And the last thing I'm going to say, actually, there was a point that I was going to make, but actually I think I'll make that in another episode because I want to get into Mark Robinson, who is now the candidate for governor, I believe, the Republican candidate for governor of North Carolina, who's a fat black man who's running for office in North Carolina. And he is a staunch black Republican, very homophobic, very anti-everything. And sort of the reason why I kind of like moved away from calling myself a black Republican or a black conservative or anything like that is because the black conservative movement or the black Republican movement or whatever, like I've seen it move very, very much towards that very sort of like homophobic and super evangelical Christian and religious. I've seen it move in that direction. And honestly, that is what it appears the direction that they want to move into in order to get some votes. Because when you look back at the last time Republicans got 20% of the black vote was in 2004, when they turned out the evangelical Christian black vote to vote against gay marriage, right? To vote against the Proposition 8, like that whole thing, right? Or to vote for Prop 8. So they're going in that direction, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of Republican billionaire money right now that's floating around the conservative movement, and I know that they're going to use a lot of that money to buy off some of these black churches so that they can start putting that stuff in those black churches. This is how they work. I have seen the seeds sort of being sown for this over the past couple of years. There's a lot of these conservative organizations that are getting very deep into the church. They're getting very deep into pushing that sort of homophobic messaging in the church. And when they start putting some of this money, some of these millions and millions of dollars that are floating around into these poor black churches that are barely keeping the lights on, oh, you're going to see it. And remember where you heard it first, because Rob be knowing. But anyway, blacks are never really going to vote for Republicans in any real numbers. And not a Trump mugshot is going to change it. Not the platinum plan's not really going to change it. It just is what it is. If they want to do these things to help black people, like, that's great. I don't know if they're going to turn it out. And like I said, Republicans win when black people don't show up. And that's pretty much all they've got at this point. But in regards to Charles Barkley and what he has to say about all of this, look, he's simple. It is what it is. I don't think that it's right that he says that, and that he's saying this on this flop show that nobody watches. But what he is doing, and I have to be clear about this because you have to understand what the signal is. He is signaling to other black people that it is not okay for you to be a Republican. It is not okay for you to vote Republican. It is not okay for you to believe in conservative values or to identify as a Republican or to vote for Donald Trump. That is what he is signaling. And by the way, one of the reasons that I've come to the belief that there will never be any real movement of black people towards the Republican Party is that Democrats and the left and the liberals have so thoroughly bought off Hollywood, bought off the entertainment industry, so that this is all you see. And that is not something that's going to change anytime soon. You know, there's not enough black conservative influencers in the world. There's not enough black people on YouTube in the world. There's not enough, even if I was still writing hardcore for Trump or Republicans or anything like that, there's not enough me's in the world to change what the culture has spent the last literally 30 to 40 years sort of building. So that is what it is, as the kids say. All right, coming up next, queer drama on the set of Queer Eye. I'm going to break it all down for you. All right, the gays are not okay, and apparently they are at each other's throats on the set of Netflix's Queer Eye. Now, this is some messy boots business that I've been dying to get into this ever since I saw the story break. So let's truly get into this. First of all, and what I love it because I'm going to be referencing this article from the New York Post, which I think is like, it's so like, this is the most New York Post headline that has ever New York posted. This is what it is. Quote unquote monster. Jonathan Van Ness caused fear on Queer Eye set and more bombshell expose claims. Like if I was reading the New York Post, I'd be like pulling up the chair, getting my little coffee, my tea, my Celsius. You know, I shouldn't say Celsius because I'm not sponsoring Celsius yet, but I'd be wanting to get in. But anyway, let's really get into this. I'm going to get into the specifics, but the gist is, so JV and Jonathan Van Ness, you all know Jonathan Van Ness, the hair guy on Queer Eye. At first, he started out, he was male. Now Jonathan, JVN is a they, them, and everybody knows that the they-thems are drama, drama. They don't even know what gender they are most of the time. So God knows they're going to confuse you just like they're confused. But anyway, so he started off as a he, but then of course he was non-binary, and then he's wearing dresses, then he gained all the weight, and then he's like doing all that. And like, I don't know, like if you've ever like, it's just the whole non-binary thing just seems so like, it just seems like such an attention grab. It just seems like, I understand. So here's the thing. Like, I understand like gender ambiguity, right? Like Prince did it, David Bowie did it. This sort of androgyny, that's the word I was looking for. This like androgyny has always existed without people needing to create some sort of identity for it. And also just, you know, be put into a special people category for it, right? So now we have this, androgyny has always been there. So now we have this non-binary thing. And look, Demi Lovato did it. And Demi Lovato was like, I'm over it. Like, I'm tired of trying to be they, them, or whatever. Janelle Monáe did it. Janelle Monáe's been showing up on red carpets and dresses, looking sickening like she always does. Like, it just seems to me that the whole non-binary thing was just, like, it was just something to get attention. It was something that would get a round of press, you know, for some thirsty, you know, gay identified celebrity, whatever. But anyway, let's get into the Queer Eye drama. I love this first, this lead. It's Queer Eye for the not so nice guy. Okay. So a new Rolling Stone expose is breaking down alleged Queer Eye behind the scenes drama between its Fab Five, Anthony Porofsky, Bobby Burke, Jonathan Van Ness, the aforementioned they, them, Karamo Brown, and Tan France. These are all varying ages between 36 and 43. According to the outlet, sources close to the show said that Van Ness, who uses they, he, and she pronouns, was emotionally abusive and had rage issues. Child, the drama. Sources used words like monster, nightmare, and demeaning to describe Van Ness, whose on-screen persona is bubbly and cheerful and accepting of everyone, frequently encouraging people to reach their full potential by saying, "Yes, queen." I can't stand, like, and that, by the way, like, that's like, I use that as sort of like a verb, like the Yas Queens, like, give me a break, the Yas Queens. But, you know, look, I'm a gay sort of like right-leaning dude. Obviously, we've said this a million times. I don't call myself Republican. I don't call myself conservative. I don't call myself any of these things. The only thing that I will identify as is somebody that leans towards the right side of the aisle. And I know the Be Kind brigade. Oh, well, could you just be kind? Could you just be nice and sweet? And why don't you just be nice and sweet just like us so that we can all live in our magical rainbow world? These people are so full of it. These are, without a doubt, the nastiest people and the shadiest queens you will ever meet in your life come from the Be Kind brigade. This is what one source said of Terror JVN. He is now Terror JVN. When he comes on set, everything changes if he's in a bad mood, one source said. Working with him is very difficult in any capacity. You got a bunch of gay dudes on set, and there's going to be drama, there's going to be egos. Like, honestly, one of the reasons, like, I don't have a lot of gay male friends because they're just so much drama. And literally, when I tell you, I can tell you stories about the last literally 4 best friends that I have had that have been gay men. And like all of these friendships ended in an unbelievable, easily avoidable amount of drama. So like, I don't let gay dudes into my space like that anymore. I just don't do it, especially not a particular type of gay dude. Anyway, when you have 5 gay dudes around, it's going to be drama, especially 5 gay dudes that have become massively famous overnight via the endless, PR dollars that Netflix has. And these people have won all this Emmys and all this other stuff. So, okay, great. So this is what he's saying. Production sources allege that fame has gone to Van Ness's head. There is a real emotion of fear around them when they get angry, sources told Rolling Stone about Van Ness. It's almost like a cartoon where it oozes out of them. It is intense and scary. I'll say the only thing that's scary about JVN is like the chest hair that comes out of these dresses. Like, it's just not, like, it's not cute. Like, I'm not, like, that's not, as Paris Hilton would say, we're not sliving, honey. People close to the production allege that Van Ness would explode frequently, claiming he was a yeller. Now, should I throw a blind item? There's a member of Congress that I know that delighted in saying that this person was a quote unquote yeller. And when I would hear these stories from this person, I would just be like, nobody wants to be around a yeller. Like, it's not that deep. I'm not surprised that JVN, Jonathan Van Ness, is a total monster. I'm also not surprised that a lot of these dudes are divas. Oh, and this is another part of the tea from the story. So yeah, JVN is a jerk, whatever. Like, he's he's not cute, so like let's focus on one of the cute ones. All right, Tan France. And this is shady. Okay. So Bobby Burke, who was the design guy, they've done 9 seasons of this show. I think I've maybe like watched 1 episode. I'm not a hater. This is just, to me, even though I'm a gay dude, this is very obviously something that is not for me, and that is very much for the heterosexual women of middle America, and I love that for them. But Bobby Burke is the guy that did the interior design. Apparently, people that watch this show a lot say that he's the only one that's really doing any real work on the show. He got so they went 9 seasons, and apparently they were going to end it with this group, but apparently Netflix decided to re-up them for 4 more seasons. Obviously, everybody's trying to get a check because apparently they are paid an absurd amount of money per episode, right? And so obviously they're going to get that check. Bobby Burke, it's kind of shady. He decided not to come back. They replace him with this guy, Jonathan Brent, who's Nate Berkus's partner, like whatever. Apparently there are like 5 homosexuals in Hollywood that can do TV gigs, whatever. And so apparently the rumor has it that this Jonathan Brent guy and Tan France are like friends. And so the rumor has it that Tan is the one that got him hired. And this is the statement that Tan had. Oh, and it is shady. Okay, this is what he said, and I am going to read you the quote, honey. Tan France said, and I just want to address one point real quick. France said, as per Entertainment Weekly, as per his Instagram, my former colleague getting fired had nothing to do with me trying to get my friend hired. Netflix and the production companies did a full-on casting. I didn't put my friend up for the job. They ended up getting it because they were the best person for the job. Am I so happy that they have the job? I really am. I think they're going to be incredible. But I did not get them hired by getting rid of somebody else. Get into the verbiage. My former colleague getting fired. Fired. F-I-R-E-D, honey. He didn't say that Bobby Burke left. He didn't say that Bobby Burke moved on to greener pastures. He said Miss Thing was fired. Had nothing to do with me trying to get my friend hired. Is this going to change the world? No. For me, it's just like news at 11, like gay guys are bitches and the sky is blue. I just think it's hysterical when there's 5 people that are doing not a hard job and they're making all this money and they're getting that Netflix PR. Netflix, look at all this talent. Do you know what I could do with some Netflix PR dollars? But I just find it interesting that these people are making all this money and that they're on this set and they're doing not a hard job. And, they're globally famous. Netflix is a global platform. And they still can't not be bitches while they're on set. Hysterical. Shout out to Karamo. Karamo used to talk to me before I became a big Republican, and I guess I couldn't be associated anymore. It's all good. Love you, Karamo. Shout out to everybody on the show. Keep making those coins. Keep doing it. I'm not a hater. That show is just, it's not for me. It's not my thing. I just think that it is hysterical. Like, this amount of drama on that set, I think is hysterical. I think it is hysterical for there to be that much drama on that set. Coming up, folks, I'm going to do something a little bit different here because some of you, I feel like some of you are new to the page. So I want to tell you my story. I want to tell you who I am. I want to tell you how I got here. And I'm going to tell you what's next. My name is Rob Smith. I was born in Akron, Ohio. I was not born into wealth. I am the first person in my family not only to have a bachelor's degree, but to have a master's degree. I have a master's in journalism from Columbia University. Yes, he is an Ivy Leaguer. I went to the Ivy Leagues. I went to the military at 17 years old when I first graduated from school. I graduated from high school at 16, actually. I turned 17 shortly after, and I went into the military at 17.5. I was so young, my mother had to sign the documents for me to go into the United States Army. I was in United States Army infantryman, served in the 4th Infantry Division in the 112th Infantry Battalion. No stolen valor here, y'all. Look it up. It's real. deployed to Kuwait, deployed to Iraq, did the thing in my Ariana DeVos voice. You know, Rob Smith did the thing. Y'all probably don't get that reference. It's okay. But I want to explain to you, and I want to take, 5, 7, 8, 10 minutes, however long this is. I want to explain to you how I came to all this, how I came from going super left to super right to in between right now. So first of all, I get out of the military. I put myself through college, through undergrad. That was all me. There are still student loans to this day that I'm still paying off. Almost there. Still paying off. Not waiting on the Biden administration to pay those off because they grifted y'all. And if you believe that, there's a bridge that I want to sell to you. Just Venmo me. I promise you. It's well worth it. Anyway. When I got into politics, I actually got into politics on the left. And I have a YouTube page, youtube.com/RobSmithOnline. I'm going to start doing more content over there that is not explicitly podcast content. But I got into politics as a lib, as somebody on the left. I got out of the military, and I was a gay guy that served in the military, that served under Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which was the law that made it illegal to be openly gay in the United States military, which seems like it's something from decades ago, but really this law just got passed. I believe it was about 11 years ago. I was a part of the movement to end that. I got arrested at the White House protesting Don't Ask, Don't Tell under the first Obama administration, I believe. And so that was my sort of entree into sort of liberal politics. And of course, libs loved me back then. And what happened was I started going through a little transition politically. And what happened was after I did that, I got very interested in journalism. So I started blogging. I went into Columbia University. And I don't talk a lot about my time at Columbia, but I really need to start talking a lot more about it because it's when I started really realizing that I was in a grad school that was for journalism. Like, it was literally for the study of broadcast journalism. The reason that I'm so good at this, guys, is because I'm trained. I didn't just pick up an iPhone and start doing this. And what I saw from what is widely known to be the #1 journalism school in the country, if not the world, that there was a startling lack of curiosity. It was like everybody thought one way, and mind you, I was not even calling myself conservative or right-leaning or anything at the time. I'm just always have been somebody that asks a lot of questions. And what I discovered is that there was a lot of questions that you weren't supposed to be asking, or that you weren't allowed to ask, or that there was a certain way that you weren't supposed to feel, which was really shocking to me as somebody that was supposed to be studying journalism, which is all about asking questions, which is all about challenging what you believe about certain things. And so this path to sort of independence kept on going as I graduated from Columbia, got into the journalism industry, and started moving a little bit more into the field. And what I discovered is I read a little book by Ann Coulter called Adios America that is very much about illegal immigration and how detrimental it is to America as a country. And it completely red-pilled me. It blew my mind wide open. And I started becoming a little bit more independent leaning. Now, leading into the 2016 election, I've been very open about this in the past, that I neither voted for Trump nor Clinton, because at the time I thought Trump was a huge racist. And I knew that Hillary Clinton was a crook. So I was like, I can't really vote for either of these people. So I didn't vote. And then Trump won. And so when Trump won, I expected the sky to start falling. I expected to be hunted down as a gay person. I expected all of this stuff to happen that just didn't happen. And what I noticed about the media industry is that there were a lot of lies that were being told about him and what he was saying, and things were being misrepresented. That was a part of my awakening. The awakening became very public as I got on social media and started saying things. Now, when I was in that hardcore Republican, hardcore conservative world from about 2019 to late 2023 was when I became more of an operative than a free thinker and really a commentator, because it started seeming like my position was to defend Republicans at all costs, to defend everything about the conservative movement at all costs. I'm at this time being employed by conservative organizations that are not media companies. These are people that are there to promote an agenda. So I'm basically at this point being paid to promote an agenda. And then that kind of blew up in my face, as you'll see if you dig a little deeper into my stuff and into, you know, the channel for the podcast. You will see what happened. I was accosted by a bunch of white supremacists in Phoenix. It was a moment that went super viral. I got dragged all over the internet by left, right, and in between. And then that's when I was like, I don't know if it's an effective representation of myself to use my voice in this platform to advocate for any political parties, and certainly not for the Republican Party. So if you do not know, if you did not know who Rob Smith is, this is who I am. And what I will continue to do via all my platforms, what I will continue to do via Can't Cancel Rob Smith, is to be open and honest about what I truly think about everything, because I know that a lot of you guys are Republican, a lot of you guys are Democrats, a lot of you guys are independents, a lot of you guys are just curious about the world and just want a different perspective, and that's okay. I'm going to tell you what I truly believe, what I honestly believe. And as we go on this journey to my problematics, and I call you guys my problematics because anybody who is a true free thinker in this world that does not subscribe to the rigid rules set for us by the laws of you have to be this to be a Democrat or you have to be this to be a Republican, we are problematic in the eyes of those people because those people want to put you in a very small box. I am not in that box. The people that are attracted to my content and me don't tend to fit in those boxes either. So we're all problematics together. Welcome. Please join me. Let's go on this journey. You can find Can't Cancel Rob Smith Monday through Friday. Wednesdays and Fridays are video first at youtube.com/@Can'tCancelRobSmith. And you can find me Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday audio first for now on Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. Come on the journey. It'll be an interesting one.